Good afternoon, students. Today I'm going to start a new chapter from physics, that is, chapter 8 Motion. In everyday life, we see some objects at rest and others in motion. For example, you can take the birds flying, fishes swimming, blood flows through the body in the veins and arteries. So you'll have seen the atoms and molecules which are present in the matter where there is a motion, and planets which are revolving around the sun where sun is at one focus, and the stars and galaxies where all these examples where they are in motion. So we often pursue an object to be in motion when its position changes with respect to time. So here, for example, if we infer the motion of air by observing the dust particle, movement of the dust particle, so there also you can see motion of the dust particles in air. So what causes the phenomenon of sunrise, sunset and changing of season? Is it due to motion of the earth? If it is true, why don't we directly pursue the motion of the earth? So let us study this topic in this chapter. Most motions are complex. Some objects may move in the straight line, or others may take a circular path, or some of them may rotate, or some of them may vibrate. So there are different kinds of motion where okay, now let us study the types of motion. Just let us recall it once, which you have studied earlier. Different types of motion. So which are the types of motion which you have learned? The first type let us study, that is random motion. So you can see here in the picture where random motion. What do you mean by random motion? A motion having no specific path. For example, motion of a butterfly. You have seen the movement of the butterfly, right? So this kind of motion is called as random motion. The second type, that is translational motion. Motion in which all the particles of a moving body is identical and which describes the identical path. So this kind of motion is called as translatory motion. Third type, that is rotational motion. The motion of in a circular path about a fixed point is called as rotational motion. For example, motion of a blades of a fan where the blades are moving and there is a fixed axis. The fourth type of motion, that is oscillatory motion. So I have played in a swing. So where to and fro motion takes place, right? So this to and fro motion about its rest point, that is from mean position to extreme position, it goes and it comes back to the mean position. So this kind of motion, to and fro motion, is called as oscillatory motion. Example, motion of a swing, or you can take example, motion of a pendulum in a clock, right? So these are the main four types of motion. So the second type, that is translational, or also called as translatory motion. So this translatory motion is again divided into three types. So which are the three types? That is rectilinear motion, curvilinear motion and circular motion. What do you mean by rectilinear motion? Motion in a straight line. Example, a car moving in a straight road. Rectilinear, the name itself suggests linear motion, means motion in a straight path. The second one, that is curvilinear. So what is curvilinear? The motion of a body in a curved path is called as curvilinear motion. Example, a car moving on a curved path. The same way, the third type of translatory motion, that is circular motion, which you are going to study in this chapter. Motion in a circular path. The body which is moving in a circular path is called a circular motion. So example for circular motion, that is, you can give the example like motion of the earth around the sun where it is moving in a circular path, or you can give the example of the electrons which are moving around the nucleus in its particular orbit. So these objects are performing circular motion. So these are the three types of translatory motion. So now let us study the next part, that is about how to describe the motion, how the motion is described. Yes, you all know that motion means movement. There must be change in position. So if an object, so we have to just study the concept of rest and motion here. Rest means a body is said to be at rest if its position does not change with respect to given time and with respect to given referral point. Okay, so if the body is not changing its position, then that object is said to be at rest. And when do we call it is in motion? A body is said to be in motion if there is a continuous change in its position with respect to given referral point and with respect to time. Okay, so once again I'll repeat, what is rest? When do we call a body is at rest? A body is said to be at rest if its position does not vary with respect to a given referral point as time passes. And a body is said to be in motion if it is moving with respect moving continuously where there is a change in its position with respect to a given referral point as time passes. Okay, so rest and motion. So the motion of an object is pursued when its position changes continuously with respect to some stationary object. Here we are going to consider the referral point. To understand motion, we have to know, we are going to study it by using a stationary object or referral point we call. So it is a change in position of the body with time. Motion can be described in terms of the distance moved or through displacement or speed or velocity and acceleration, which you are going to learn one by one in this chapter. Okay, so in detail let us study it later. So this is how where we are going to describe the motion in terms of distance traveled, or in terms of displacement, or speed, velocity, acceleration. Okay, so now an object may appear to be moving for one person and for stationary for some other person. For example, for the passenger who is moving in a bus, if you consider a passenger in a bus, so the roadside trees appear to be moving backward. I think you all maybe have observed this situation when consider you are sitting in a bus. Okay, we are stationary in a bus, and as the bus starts moving, so here what happens? The roadside trees appear to be moving backward. A person standing on the road. Okay, you are in a bus. For you, the trees, as you move forward, the trees move backward. It seems as if the trees are moving backward. But for the person at the same time who is standing on the road, he perceives that the bus along with the passengers are moving, but the trees around him, it seems to be at rest. So however, the passenger inside the bus sees his fellow passenger to be at rest. So what does this observation indicate? So what it means? So here both the state of rest and motion are related to each other. So we can say that rest and motion are relative terms. Okay, so why it is called related? Why it is a relative term? We are going to consider the motion of an object. We are going to consider the motion of an object with respect to the object which are at rest. Okay, so with respect to the object which are at rest, we are going to consider the object to be moving. So we call that as relative. An object may appear to be moving to one person and the same object may appear to be at rest to the another person. So if you take an example, when a bus is moving on a road. So now imagine a bus is moving on a road. The trees appear to move backward to the passenger sitting inside the bus. But the person sitting inside the bus finds his fellow passengers at rest. So inside the bus, all the passengers are at rest position. Outside, if it says, where the trees appear to move backward. So this is how where we call the state of rest and motion are related to each other. Okay. So next let us study about the terms related to motion which you have to study. The first is position. To consider the rest and motion, we have to learn about the position of an object. So what is position? It represents the location of an object. Position means the location of the object. Okay. Next, reference point. What is reference point? It is the location from where the position of the object is measured. And the reference point is called the origin. Okay. Reference point, or it is also called as origin. For example, you can see in this picture where from 0 you can see a number line there where x-axis, positive x-axis, and there is a negative x-axis. So 0, 100, 200, 300, it is in meter x-axis, and in the same way the negative side minus 100, minus 200 and minus 300. You can see the origin there, 0, right? So where there is a Kusma's house. So it is the reference point. So where is the object now? Here we are going to consider a shop and it is school. So along positive x-axis, there is a shop. Yes, 300 meter from Kusma's house. So from Kusma's house, the shop is 300 meter away along the positive x-axis. In the same way, school is along negative x-axis. You can see here the school is along negative x-axis and it is 300 meter away from the reference point. So here Kusma's house is the reference point to locate the school and shop. Yes, Kusma's house is the reference point, or it is also called as origin. And location of the shop object is specified with respect to the house here, Kusma's house. So next term we are going to study, that is magnitude. Yes, what is magnitude? It is the value, numerical value of a physical quantity. It is called as magnitude. Okay, the numerical value of a physical quantity is its magnitude. Yes, there are some physical quantity which are having only magnitude. Okay, for example, I can give here, if you consider length, the physical quantity length. Yeah, so we are going to represent its magnitude. For example, 10 meter, 100 meter. So this 10 or 100 indicates the magnitude of the physical quantity. Yes, 10 meter. 10 is the numerical value of a physical quantity. So it is called as magnitude. Now there are some physical quantity where we locate the direction. Okay, so what is direction here? To locate the position of an object along with the magnitude, its sense of direction is also required. Okay, so example, in case you the above example you can see here, the shop is 300 meter along positive x-axis. You can see positive x-axis along this direction where it is in the right hand side of Kusma's house, that is from origin, and the school is 300 meter along negative x-axis. This side is the negative x-axis which is towards the left hand side of the origin, right? So here we are going to denote the direction. Yeah, so to locate some physical quantities or to locate some objects, there we have to specify magnitude along with direction. Okay, so this kind of physical quantities where it is having some physical quantities which have only magnitude and some physical quantity which has magnitude along with direction. So we call them as scalars and vectors. Okay, now let us study what are scalar quantities and what are vector quantities. As I told, some physical quantities where we represent only magnitude, we are not going to represent the direction. Okay, that kind of physical quantity where the direction are not specified, that kind of quantities are called as scalar quantities. Yeah, what is scalar quantity? A physical quantity where that only has magnitude, we call that as scalar. And what are vector? The quantity with magnitude and direction is called as vector quantity. Okay, so now we can write the difference, right? What is scalar quantity and what is vector quantity? What is the difference between scalars and vectors? Yes, the first difference, that is first difference in scalar, that is quantity that has only magnitude. Scalar quantity has only magnitude, but vector quantity has direction and also magnitude. We are going to specify direction. Quantity with magnitude and direction is called as vector. Physical quantity with magnitude and direction. In scalar, we are not, it does not have direction. We are not going to represent the direction. But in vector, commonly represented by a notation where a or arrow notation is specified. You can see here we are going to, for example, here we are going to just notify it with the above arrow notation. So example, the next third difference which you can write, that is scalar quantity examples are mass. Yes, for example 1 kg, 2 kg, like that. We are not going to specify direction. Time, so 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. Whether we are going to specify the direction for time? No. In the same way, volume, area, temperature, distance, speed, these are all the quantities where we are not specifying direction. So these are the examples of scalar quantity. And the third difference under vector quantity, that is examples of vector quantity, that is velocity. So we are specifying the direction. So the body is moving in north direction. We just specify the direction there. Yes, it is moving with the speed. It is moving with speed of 5 kilometer per minute, like that. And we specify the direction. It is moving towards north, or it is moving towards the south or east or west. Yeah, we are specifying the direction here. And force, the second physical quantity where we specify the direction. Yes, in which direction the force is applied, we are asking. Yeah, the direction here. So force is a quantity where along with the magnitude the direction is specified. Next is acceleration. It is a physical quantity where the direction is specified. Momentum. So about this physical quantity you are going to study in the next class. What is speed? What is distance traveled? What is displacement? What is velocity? This all answers you are going to study in your next class. Okay, so just understand this topic where it is in page number 98 and 99. Just you can go through about it, and in the next chapter next class, let us study about for describing motion. You are going to study about distance traveled and displacement. Okay, so if you have any doubts regarding this chapter, you can just ask me. Okay, thank you.